Hello, and you're welcome again to a fresh edition of our program, well, your favorite program, Close Flow. It's another Monday morning, and like we say on this program, especially on Mondays, we like to blow away your blues, making sure that you can forget all the pains of the weekend and saying, oh, it's Monday again. Yeah, it's Monday again, and it's going to be another exciting Monday because we have gone out again to look for yet another distinguished Nigerian to come into the studio and lay on the table what we expect to see in a new and reformed Nigeria. Today we are going royal. We decided to leave you guys, who are on the streets, who want to go to the royalty and see if we can get one of the blue bloods we have in the country to come into our studio and share his experiences, his perceptions, his thinking with us. We have with us today a royal prince, of the Kalabari Kingdom, a scion of the Amakri dynasty in River State of Nigeria. He is a petroleum engineer by training, but he has doubled that also by taking a master's degree in mineral resources engineering. Today he is a businessman. He is a politician, but also is also a social thinker and crusader, somewhat. My pleasure welcoming into our studio today on Close Flow, Prince Tony Prince-Wong.
Pleasure. Good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. He is very debonair, but that can be deceptive because also behind that gentle look, he has a man with a very sharp mind. So let's start from the business. I'm going to quote you directly here, and I wanted to just react quickly to that. You said here, I'm fulfilled and happy. My only sadness is that not enough young men and women have experienced what I have experienced. If we allow the current trend to continue, I don't know how many of them would have that experience. That's quoting you from a documentary feature that you actually, made on how to create equal opportunities for everybody, especially young persons in Nigeria. No. Now, so how tragic do you think it's going to be for this country if the younger generation is not invested in?
Well, I'm reminded of a program I was watching a few days ago where somebody said that Africa's biggest asset are its youth, and the biggest crime we can commit is not to tap that asset. And so, without a doubt, it's very sad for me. I mean, I'm 44 years old, but at the age of 30, I think I had done a lot, I had explored a lot. But I look at the younger generation today and I wonder what their future is. And, I think the generation before me has failed me. And I wouldn't like to see that we fail the generation coming behind us. So I feel, in the words of Martin Luther King, a fierce urgency of the now. We talk about things. What happens usually is that you get it wrong today and your failures show up 10 years from now. So I'm looking at where we will be in 10 years. I'm saying to myself, let's get it right now. So there's no point crying over spilled milk. There's no point talking about what hasn't been done in the past. The question is, what are we prepared to do now? And I think the youths, of Nigeria have a very bright future if we can get a few things right. If things took 10 years to achieve before, now with modern age, with digital technology, we can do things a lot quicker. So, I have a couple of ideas, and I'm hoping that over the course of the next few years, we'll be able to implement them. And then we can slowly start to bring our generation back up to where it needs to be.
Now, but the reservations or the fears or the pessimism of quite a number of Nigerians, especially the youth, they seem to be anchored in the fact that, just like you said, this generation that is going now has failed, as it were, in trying to get them to be engaged in the process of transition. So, where is this guarantee? You're just like a lone voice now.
No, I'm not a lone voice. I mean, look, usually it's the person who is wearing the shoe that knows where it's pinching him. And so I'm from the young generation. I'm not an old man by any stretch of the imagination. So I know the pain. I feel their pain. And I don't see myself as a lone voice. I see myself as amongst them. So the people who are crying for a change in the system include me. I want the system to change. If the system changes, then, as I said in the same documentary, I want the government to wake up and be alive to its responsibilities. So if the system changes, then I have less stress. I deal with less. It's not like they're there, as in youth, and I'm here. No. I am with them. I feel the pain. Because the system that they want changing, I also want it changing. There are some people who are comfortable with the system. There are some people in my position who are okay with the way things are. Because if I am okay, then who cares about the rest? But what they fail to realize is that they have children. What they fail to realize is that tomorrow it could be them. There are people who were very wealthy before, who today they've gone, and their children are going through the pains. Now, as they've died and gone, the children they've left behind are going through and experiencing the failures that they left behind. So nobody's immune. I don't understand this concept of having a story building amongst bungalows. I don't understand that concept. Why is it that you want your own to be higher than everybody else? So I believe that we should all be growing together. And what I did say in that documentary is we need to ask ourselves, sometimes rather than you worry about moving yourself forward, why don't you worry about all of us moving forward? So I'm not a lone voice at all. I'm part of the problem, and I'm also part of the
solution. Well, I like that. But now, the question would be that you are a royalty, a blood. I mean, the question some people will probably want to ask is, what is the motivation? Is it religion? Is it political activism? Or is it sheer exigency?
Well, I don't know about this blue blood. If you cut my finger, my blood is red. And so I don't see myself in that kind of light at all. If there's anything in terms of royalty, it's a sense of duty, sense of responsibility. It's a sense of community. You are expected to represent, as opposed to run around the place and lord it over anybody. No. So I see it more as a duty than a privilege. Definitely a privilege. I agree in the context that it's for the fact that you are singled out in that case. It's definitely a privilege. But I see it more as a duty. And so the motivation for me is consistent with the title. You're there and you're supposed to represent. You're supposed to carry people along. You're supposed to speak on behalf of people. You're not supposed to be quiet. So that is the motivation. And if we had good leaders, then I would have no responsibility to worry about this problem. I could sit down in the background and say, if you're in royalty, you're not supposed to be worrying yourself about party politics. But there's a common phrase I use, which is that politics is too important to be left to politicians.
Okay, so that brings us to the next. That brings us to the next issue, really. So, do you really think that political parties in Nigeria are truly nationalistic, or don't you worry that the interests of politicians have been too narrowed, to all this money or no money, wealth making and all?
Well, I would want to rephrase it slightly differently. What I would say is that party politics actually is based on nothing. It's empty. It's hollow. Party politics truly should be serving people. Party politics should be about answers. Party politics should not be about questions. People ask questions
all the time.
The politics provides answers. So we are supposed to be working for the people and for the people's interests. But too often, I'm sure you know what's going on now in the politics of Nigeria. Too often, the politics is not answering the questions of the people. Now, why do I say this? Party politics should be based on ideology. If I am in a political party, I should be in that political party because it stands for something. It represents something. It represents answers to problems of society. For instance, if you are in the US and you're either a Democrat or Republican. Broadly speaking, we know what the Democrats stand for versus the Republicans. The Democrats believe in big government. They believe that you may need to tax the wealthy to take care of the less privileged. They believe in a welfare system where we all move together in a communal way, and that if the rich man is going too far, we hold him back and say, excuse me.
You have some responsibilities here. Yes.
Whereas the Republicans believe in small government. They believe that government should keep out of everything. Allow us
to run,
to do our thing. You just stay in the background, set the stage for us. As we prosper and succeed, encourage us. So rather than taxing the few to help the many, they believe make the few richer.
So they can have their own choice.
And then they will create jobs for the many to now be employees working for them. So you know where they stand. If you are in the UK and you have the Labour Party or the Conservatives, you know pretty much where they stand. They have similar ideals they stand for. Take that same picture back to Nigeria. It's a completely different picture. What does PDP stand for? What does ACN stand for? What does CPC stand for? What does ANPP stand for? The answer is nothing. Nothing. And Nigerians don't ask themselves, come, why am I voting for this party? Because if they did, they'll find out that their answers would be either ethnic or sentimental, because he's my friend. If he wins, he will carry me along. And 9 times out of 10, he wins and he doesn't carry you along. And even if it doesn't happen to you and it happens to somebody else, you won't learn from your friend's mistakes. So why don't we ask ourselves, come, what is that party going to do for us? What do they stand for on the subject of education? Are they for free education? If so, up to what level? And what is the quality of that education? Or what is their position on health? Or do they have a view on the minimum wage? Or what is their own answer to the problems of security and kidnapping in the country? Nobody asks those kind of questions. Yet we're a population of 170 million Nigerians, many of whom are educated.